in this video.
Got it. I can't get it clear.
The explorer kept filming from a distance, and what was captured there set the tone for everything that followed. A grainy piece of footage from the 1940s showed a strange scene that looked far ahead of its time. In the middle of an open area, a large object appeared to have crashed, while several military officers surrounded a figure lying on the ground nearby. A few men carefully examined the body, as the rest moved around the location like they were securing the entire place. The person recording stayed hidden and quietly captured everything from a distance without drawing attention. Because of how old the clip was, many people found it difficult to brush it off as a modern fake or edited recording. Forest alien discovery. This man shared unusual footage online after claiming he had discovered a strange creature near a crashed UFO site deep in the woods. Behind him, a damaged object could be seen resting between the trees, looking badly broken, as if it had fallen from the sky earlier.
Found this little alien after a UFO crash on my farm. It was just sitting there.
In his hands, he carried a pale figure with thin features and unusually large eyes that gave the clip an uncomfortable feeling. The way he showed it to the camera looked calm and casual, which only made the recording feel even stranger to watch after noticing all the details in the background. Hidden metal wreck. Deep in the middle of a forest, a hiker came across a huge metallic object lying quietly on the ground. The shape looked smooth and unfamiliar, with no clear signs of damage or entry points. Everything around it stayed oddly still, as if the forest itself was holding back sound. The hiker slowly filmed from a distance, trying to make sense of what had appeared in such a hidden place. Burning forest wreckage. Somewhere in a forest, a strange object was seen lying on the ground after it appeared to crash. Flames covered parts of it. The person filming slowly focused on the wreckage from nearby. Because of its unusual shape and the isolated location, many online believed it could have been a UFO crash instead of something ordinary. White Sands impact. Near White Sands in New Mexico, someone just casually had their camera pointed at the sky when this bright light came tearing across it. At first it looked like nothing special, just something passing by far away. Then it just dropped, fast, straight toward the ground. It hit the desert hard, and dust and stuff went flying everywhere. The person filming was clearly losing it behind the camera, but somehow kept recording. Then the video just ended, and everyone watching was left with zero answers about what that actually was. Burning metal site. This man looked completely shaken after coming across a strange sight deep in the forest. Resting on the ground was a large object, shaped almost like a saucer. The glow from the flames made the object stand out in the dark area around the trees. As he recorded from a distance, the shape did not resemble any normal aircraft or machine people usually see. After the video spread online, many started calling it a real UFO crash because of how unusual the entire scene looked. Hiker alien contact. Some random hiker was just making his way through the forest when he noticed this bizarre metal object just laying there on the ground. It looked like absolutely nothing he had ever seen in his life. He started getting closer, and that's exactly when his camera picked up something shifting in the background. A pale, humanoid figure was just standing there, frozen, staring straight at him with these massive almond-shaped eyes. It stayed like that for just a second, then quietly backed itself into the shadows and was gone. The shock in his voice was something you could genuinely feel, and the clip just stopped with that metal object still sitting right there, leaving behind this calm but deeply unsettling silence. Park creature sighting. A bunch of friends were just chilling in a park when they caught something moving behind a tree and assumed it was an animal. They started filming it. What showed up on that camera completely floored them, a pale, massive-headed figure carefully peeking out from behind the trunk. They dropped everything and ran. The clip blew up online almost instantly, leaving viewers stunned and full of questions. Then shortly after, identical sightings started getting reported across other parts of France, and suddenly nobody could decide whether this was just one random incident or the beginning of something far bigger. Jacksonville Incident Report. On the 22nd of September 2019, something really weird apparently went down near Jacksonville. And honestly, nobody had forgotten about it. One guy tried walking up closer to where it all happened, but the military had already shut the whole area off, which just made everything feel way more off than it already was. Nobody he reached out to could even get their story straight about what actually fell that night. And as more reports kept connecting it to other strange sightings around the world, the whole thing just got even more puzzling. Romania object appearance. This clip, filmed on some quiet road in Romania, had everyone going crazy in the comments. The person behind the camera claimed the object just appeared out of thin air, like it wasn't even there a second before. They panned around to show there was nothing and nobody around them.
Că dispar, să știți că m-au furat, ăsta trește, frate. Mă vede ăștia că-i filmez?
Insisting the whole thing was completely genuine. They also mentioned the object had already shifted position before they even started recording, which honestly made the footage feel even harder to explain away. Dominican crash landing. Folks in the Dominican Republic were completely stunned after this huge metallic object came falling out of the sky. People rushed to the spot and found it halfway buried, still smoking, with tiny flames burning inside. The surface looked rough, covered in weird bumps, almost like fused pieces. Authorities showed up but left without giving anyone a straight answer. The theories online were all over the place. Half were convinced it was a UFO, others called it debris. Nevada road light. Something lit up the sky that day, blazing bright, with a long, burning trail dragging behind it. Nobody watching could agree on what it actually was, and people immediately jumped to a UFO crash. Honestly, the way it moved didn't feel random at all. It had this weird, controlled drop to it. Like whatever came down wasn't just falling, it was going somewhere specific. Soldier creature escort. Out in the middle of nowhere, soldiers were caught on camera escorting something that made absolutely no sense. The creature towered over all of them, with unnaturally long limbs and enormous unsettling eyes on a completely hairless head. Nothing about it looked even remotely human. The soldiers moved carefully, staying low-key, like they were trying to avoid any attention whatsoever. Authorities reportedly shut the whole thing down fast, and now everyone's asking whether this was actual proof of a military and alien connection. Mexico orb descent. A clip surfaced from Mexico, dated the 13th of December 2020, showing this round object just silently hovering up in the sky. It passed through several different colors before it smoothly glided straight down into the trees and vanished completely. The movement was steady and controlled, without any sound or trail around it. Almost too clean for something that size. The descent only lasted a few seconds but left such a strange impression, like something that couldn't be explained had just quietly slipped through that forest. Frozen saucer landing. In Russia's icy landscape, footage showed a massive object resting on the frozen ground after what looked like a crash. The structure had a wide, metallic saucer shape, partly covered in snow and ice, with a smooth surface.
Дети мои, смотрите, какую я скульптуру нашла.
It did not match any known aircraft or plane in use today. So, what could have possibly landed in such a remote, frozen place? Utah sky flash. On the 2nd of October 2014, footage from Murray, Utah captured a strange object moving across the night sky. Instead of behaving like a normal meteor, it flashed several times while crossing the sky. There was no sound or impact, and it did not break apart. The object slowly faded and disappeared mid-air rather than falling to the ground. What could make something shine like that and then vanish so suddenly? Restricted crash zone. This video had been spreading fast online, showing what looked like a crashed UFO lying on the ground. Two uniformed officials could be seen closely inspecting the object while moving around it carefully. The entire area appeared sealed off, with no public access allowed. More people stood at a distance, watching and trying to figure out what had landed there. The object's shape looked unfamiliar, which added more mystery to the scene. So what are your thoughts on it? Let me know in the comments below. Rooftop watchers encounter. Near a park, footage showed two strange figures standing on the top of a tall building. They stayed still for a moment, looking down at the area below as if they were studying it. Their shapes looked unusual compared to anything normally seen on rooftops. The camera kept a steady view as they slowly turned their heads, appearing to observe their surroundings. The scene stayed quiet with no sudden movement as they remained on the rooftop. Forest object activation. Right in the middle of a forest clearing, a huge dark object was just sitting on the ground like it had dropped there out of nowhere. Its surface looked dull metal, catching small bits of light through the trees. The whole area felt oddly quiet, like nothing wanted to move around it. Then, from between the trees, an alien slowly walked into view, heading straight toward it step by step. It reached a small staircase under the object and went up without stopping. A few seconds later, the object turned on, lifted from the ground, and rose straight up, disappearing into the sky like it was never there. Crashed alien interaction. No one would believe this video was real, but it was claimed to be recorded deep inside a forest. A man was hiding behind the trees, filming from a distance, when a strange sight appeared in front of his camera. After zooming in, a crashed object could be seen lying on the ground. Near it, a strange figure stood close by. It had a body shape that looked similar to a human, but its features appeared very different. The figure seemed to be carefully observing the area and interacting with something like a device or technology near the wreckage. The recording ended right after that moment, leaving the scene unclear and hard to fully explain. Hidden forest contact. At a public park, a strange object was seen moving across the sky while flashing bright lights again and again. It was coming down slowly, almost like it was not moving in a normal way. The light kept flickering in a way that made the object look unstable, like something was not working right inside it. People nearby noticed the slow movement and kept watching as it passed over the open area. Forest alien emergence. Late at night in Western Australia, workers at the Yandi mine saw a glowing object moving across the sky. The green-blue light moved very slowly and stayed visible for a long time. One worker quickly started recording while the others watched in shock. The object made no sound and did not look like a normal plane. Many people believed it looked more like a UFO crash than anything else seen in the sky before. Mining skylight. During the night, a man captured this scene in the middle of an open ground. A huge metallic object was seen resting there, while a small fire burned around it. The shape of the object looked strange. As the man filmed from a distance, the dark surroundings and the firelight made the whole scene feel even more unusual to watch. Military crash inspection. This footage looked like something straight out of a movie, except it was sitting in the middle of a real muddy field. A strange metal object had crashed into the ground, and people quickly gathered behind the police tape trying to get a better look at it. A few officers stood nearby as emergency lights flashed in the background under the dark sky. The object itself had that classic saucer shape, which was probably why so many people online started talking about it. Even the people recording sounded confused, because from a distance, it honestly did not look like anything they normally would have found out there. Farmer field discovery. This farmer probably did not expect his field to look like this one day. Sitting right in the middle of the dirt was a huge damaged object that honestly looked just like a crashed UFO. The person recording kept focusing on the size of the thing, because it looked way bigger up close than it first seemed. If somebody really found this sitting on their land, what would even be the first thing to do in that situation? France crash report. Back on the 27th of December, 2024, people in France recorded a strange scene after a huge black object was found crashed on the ground. The object looked heavily damaged, and several men in uniforms were seen walking around it closely, inspecting every part. A few people believed it was just a large drone that had gone down, but others were completely convinced it looked more like a UFO. Looking at the clip now, what do you think it actually was? Beach object landing. This footage spread online fast after showing a strange object lying on a beach. It sat close to the shoreline, looking out of place and slightly damaged. People nearby gathered around it, and many of them said it looked like it had come down from the sky after a crash. The scene quickly got attention, and authorities were seen arriving to inspect the object more closely. Everything stayed calm, but the curiosity kept building as they looked it over. Forest dual objects. A quiet forest in France had two strange objects sitting side by side when this footage started. They looked shiny and didn't really match anything around them. After a bit, authorities arrived and walked in to take a closer look at both objects. Everyone stayed at a distance while they checked things out. The whole moment felt simple but odd, mainly because no one there seemed to have clear answers about what they were looking at. Field craft encounter. A regular guy was out exploring an open field when he stumbled across something that made his stomach drop. Right there in the grass, there was a UFO that had absolutely no business existing on this planet. 3 figures stood around it, completely unbothered, just going about whatever they were doing. At some point, they clearly noticed the camera. They didn't move toward him, but simply continued like he meant absolutely nothing to them.
Lo encontré.
The location was never confirmed, but the moment that footage hit the internet, it spread like wildfire everywhere. Disc lift event. Wild, right? Nobody was ready for what this camera actually caught on film. Some random open field, totally quiet, then out of nowhere, this massive disc-shaped thing is just sitting there. A door slides open, stairs drop down, and something slowly walks out and starts looking around. Then boom, both objects launch straight up into the sky, gone in seconds. The internet went absolutely insane over this, with half the people saying it's legit and the other half calling it the most elaborate hoax they've ever seen. But honestly, for a huge chunk of people watching, nothing has ever come this close to proving we are definitely not alone out here. Nevada crash site. A group of people driving through the Nevada desert ended up recording something that looked completely out of place. Resting in the middle of the sand was a large dark object that appeared to have crashed straight into the ground. What really caught attention, though, was the line of uniformed authority men standing around it, carefully inspecting every side. The area looked tense and strangely quiet, as nobody nearby seemed allowed to get close. From the distance, the object did not even resemble normal wreckage, and that was exactly why the footage spread so quickly online. Security footage. Okay, so this one actually gave me chills. A regular security camera just scanning through the trees, and then it locks onto something standing right there. Not huge, but the shape completely off. We're talking the exact proportions people always describe when they talk about alien beings. The thing just stood there, totally still, not moving at all. And the footage was clear enough to see how bizarre the body looked. But here's what really freaked everyone out. No ship, no landing marks, absolutely nothing around it. This creature wasn't just visiting, it had been living out in those woods. Forest creature footage. So this guy is just out on a normal hike when things go completely sideways. Out of nowhere, this tall, skinny thing shoots out from behind a tree right next to him. The way it moved was just wrong, way too fast, way too smooth for anything that should be out there. And the shape, nothing like any animal or person. The whole thing was over in just a couple seconds before it vanished straight into the darkness. Watching the video, you genuinely cannot decide if this was staged or actually real. But either way, it leaves you with this weird, uncomfortable feeling that those woods are keeping some very serious secrets. Amazon orb sighting. Deep in the Amazon, this guy was mid-hike when something between the trees just made him freeze completely in his tracks. Hovering right there was this dark, metallic orb, drifting slowly like it was scanning everything around it. He pulled out his camera, clearly having no idea what he was even looking at, and started pushing toward it.
Get back!
But before he could get anywhere close, the orb quietly floated off. The forest just went completely still after that, and the whole moment was the kind you simply couldn't shake off. Forest crash light. This TikTok video of a bright light crashing near a forest absolutely exploded online, racking up over 20 million views. The person who posted it actually went back to check the spot and found officials already there, completely blocking everything off. That's when people started losing it in the comments, demanding to know why nobody in charge was saying anything publicly. Ever since then, clips and theories about that crash kept spreading all over the place, and honestly, the mystery just never really settled down. Russian UFO recovery. This old footage showed a group of Russians huddled around something that had come crashing down in the middle of a forest. The object had this unmistakable UFO shape, and these people were carefully inspecting every single side of it. Right beside the object, there were these small, bizarre remains that a lot of people, straight up, called alien. One theory that really got people talking was that these weren't just regular civilians, they were scientists operating out of secret Russian facilities who had actually been trying to reach aliens. And this footage was believed to be the very first time that contact was ever documented. Nevada road figure. This group of friends was just driving through Nevada when something completely unexpected brought them to a halt. They pulled over, and that's when they saw it. A pale, skinny figure just gliding across the road like it belonged there. Not a single word was spoken. They just scrambled back into the car, having no idea what they had just witnessed. The internet absolutely lost its mind over this one, with everyone convinced this was no ordinary person.
Close the trunk! Close the trunk!
Most people watching genuinely believed what those friends saw out there was something not from this world. Forest Craft Witness. Deep in the woods near his home, a man pointed his camera at something that genuinely messed people up when the footage came out. There was a craft, and standing right near it was some kind of figure that clearly wasn't human. The thing was actually blinking, turning slightly, totally aware that something was watching it. You could catch these tiny little movements that made the whole thing feel weirdly real. People who studied the footage said it carried this eerie calmness, almost like it wasn't threatened at all, like those woods belonged to it just as much as anyone else. Frozen body discovery. A group of hikers, out in a freezing, remote area, stumbled onto something that stopped them in their tracks. Laying there on the ground was a thin, humanoid body, dark, almond-shaped eyes, completely motionless. What made it even harder to dismiss was that reports of a UFO crash in the exact same area were already circulating around the same time.
Ну, да понятно, что дохлые будут. Да, хлеб, короче, лежит там.
The hikers kept their distance, just pulled out their cameras and filmed the whole thing. The silence around it made it even creepier, like they had accidentally walked into something they were never supposed to find. Forest figure encounter. So they pulled up this super grainy clip, and honestly, I couldn't look away. Somewhere deep in the woods, this round object was just sitting on the ground, but then you noticed it off to the side stood this tall, stretched out figure that looked nothing like a person. It didn't move, didn't flinch, just stood there completely frozen next to it. The whole thing felt like one of those rare sightings people talked about for years. Brazil saucer hover. A pretty clear clip came out of Curitiba, Brazil, showing this saucer-shaped object just hanging silently above the city. It stayed completely still, nothing holding it up, not a single sound coming from it. The whole area just felt strangely calm while it sat there. Then after a few moments, it slowly drifted off and disappeared, leaving the city looking completely normal below, like nothing had even happened. Windmill UFO pass. Okay, so this TikTok came out of nowhere and people were losing it in the comments. Someone filmed this giant saucer just casually cruising past a windmill in the middle of the day, so you could actually see everything clearly. The windmill just kept spinning like nothing was happening while this thing floated by at this weirdly perfect distance. It felt so calm, but at the same time so off, like two completely different realities somehow ended up sharing the same sky for a moment. Field alien drop. Honestly, the footage was grainy and rough, but that made it even harder to ignore. There was this disc-shaped craft floating above a huge empty field, and even through all that blur, you could still tell exactly what you were looking at. Then these figures started dropping down from underneath it, all lined up, moving in this weirdly precise way, almost like they were programmed. Everything was completely silent, just that slow, eerie movement against the dark sky. So what exactly was coming out of that thing? And now, let us move on to our subscriber pick of the day. A hiker came across something unusual deep in a forest, where a metallic object was lying on the ground. Nearby, a group of alien-like figures was gathered around it, staying close to the structure as if they were working on it.